So guys, welcome today to this event on Ireland's blue bioeconomy. So I am Finn van der Aar. I'll be your host for today. I am a marine biologist. I work as a marine mammal observer, quite a mouthful, with the Irish Whale and Dolphin Group. And then I also do a lot of kind of science communication work. So events like this and things like hosting the Oceans of Learning podcast as well with the Marine Institute. So we have a great jam-packed event for you today. So first, our speakers will all kind of give you a 5-minute intro into what they're working on at the moment and a little bit on their background. And then we will have a more time for you guys to ask questions and stuff after that. So we're going to have about a 45-minute Q&A. So I have some questions already for the speakers, but we would love to hear your questions as well. So what I would totally recommend is, even as they are chatting, start putting them now into the chat box. I see that people are using it already, which is great. And then I can kind of filter it through to them as we go. So you can ask obviously general questions, or if you want to ask it to a particular speaker, please feel free to do that as well. And just let us know when you're putting it in. And yeah, we have a great mix of attendees today. So we have people that are also working in the industry, and then people that are just interested in Ireland's blue space. So I promise, are not going to be keeping it jargon heavy, just so that everybody understands. And again, feel free to ask any questions. So our kind of run through today, we have Dr. Mark de Faoite. So he is Director of Enterprise Employment and Property at Údarás na Gaeltachta, and he's going to be introducing us to the idea of the blue bioeconomy, especially if people haven't really heard of it before. We have Majbritt Bolton-Warberg, and she is the Blue Bioeconomy Program Manager at the Marine Institute. So she'll also be telling us kind of about the national support that is available. So that's going to be great for any businesses listening. We have Cliodhna Ní Ghríofa. So she is the Business Development Manager at the MIDC and Páirc and we'll be talking about supporting innovation. So this is a very innovative space, so that's going to be cool. And we have Curran. He's Senior Technologist at Enterprise Ireland, and he's going to be talking about the Marine Ireland Industry Network. We have Maeve Edwards, one of the founding directors of Irish Seaweed Consultancy, and talking about seaweeds as high-valued seaweed, high-value targeted seaweed projects. I'm actually really interested in that one as well. And then finally, Colin Hannon is a research fellow at the Marine and Freshwater Research Centre in GMIT, and he's going to be talking about community project opportunities. So great range of speakers, great range of topics within this space. So I guess, first of all, I would like to welcome Mark, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you very much, Finn, and it's great to be here. And great to see some old friends logging in. So more on the next slide, please. I wanted to introduce very briefly what it is the Údarás is. There we go. What it is the Údarás is and how it fits into the sustainability piece. So for those of you that don't understand Údarás na Gaeltachta, on my side of the house, we're an enterprise support division for that part of Ireland, which has been defined as Gaeltachta or Irish speaking. And we see our role as being the sustainability of the Gaeltacht. And so linking sustainability in general, and sustainable businesses to what we do is very, very important. I worry as a marine biologist and as a scientist by training that sustainability as a notion has been hijacked by environmentalists. But sustainability is a three-legged stool. It's the environment, and from a Gaeltacht point of view, if you look at a map of the Gaeltacht, it is completely rural and largely coastal. And so the environment is really, really important to the Gaeltacht. It's about the community, about the social side of things. And for us, the continued existence of an Irish-speaking area in Ireland with its cultures and traditions is key. And providing jobs for those people is really important. And that's the economic piece. And so we have to find a way of developing business for Muintir na Gaeltachta in the Gaeltacht to make things work. And that's why we're interested in matters sustainable. That's why we're interested in the blue economy, and today to talk about the blue bioeconomy. Next slide, please, Maura. So the Icelandic folks have kind of encapsulated what what we mean or what we're trying to describe to people, because people just don't get what we're talking about. And so in this cartoon image, this kind of infographic of what you might do with fish in order to get, on the left-hand side, from a raw round fish, on the right-hand side, to zero waste, is looking at what are the pieces of the fish, what are the things we can do with pieces of the fish. And this is not pipe dream. There's a company working out of Leargas in County Monaghan, Biomarine Ingredients, who are taking blue whiting, which was a fish meal fish of low value, and turning it in through their process, which some people refer to as a biorefinery, but people talk very broadly about biorefineries as if they're one single thing. But effectively, they are using every bit of what was a very low value fish to create very high value products. And there was recently this week a paper produced, some of the bioactives that they are developing. And so that, as well as using the meat, the fillet for human consumption, they're taking omega-3 oils out of the brains, out of the skin. They're using the skin, people are using the skins for leather. We're developing and extracting various bioactives and medicines from various marine ingredients. We have a Gaeltachta company that is growing coral, marine coral, for the purpose of using the coral skeletons in bone grafting in humans. Next slide, please, Morgan. And the same applies to seaweed. And there's a huge increase in interest in seaweed and what we can do with it. There's a huge increase in interest in growing seaweed and aquaculture, but we're still developing the outlets, the markets at a volume which makes sense of this. But there are folks in this country who are working with pharmaceutical extracts from seaweeds. There are people who are working with various food additives, or what are called nutraceuticals, which have a lower level of certification, but are still very important. There are people doing the more basic things with seaweed in terms of using it in fertilizers and soil conditioners and in animal feed. But we haven't really scratched the surface of this yet correctly. You can't go to get on an airplane, although people don't do that so much anymore, or go to a chemist shop, but that there's somebody selling you cosmetics that have some element of seaweed in them. And people are still working out how to make really solid claims about it. We've had a lot of interest from people recently looking at using seaweed extracts in various textiles and apparel as a means of adding to sustainability. And people are using already seaweed-based polymers to make plastics. Next slide, please, Maura. So key to what we are doing in terms of larger strategic projects in Údarás has been a focus on the development of Páirc na Mara, which will be an industrial park in Kilkieran and Connemara on the coast of Kilkieran, on the short Kilkieran Bay, where we already have companies looking to create 200 jobs directly, which will lead to 400 jobs indirectly in that area, based fundamentally around a sustainable approach to business and a sustainable approach to this part of the Gaeltachta, providing high value jobs in companies that will be working in a business park which is designed around low carbon energy production, full utilization of products that are generated on site, very high levels of environmental management and water treatment and so on and so forth. And as part of that, Cliodhna will be talking later on about the Marine Innovation and Development Centre, which will be an innovation centre focused on the marine and being supported by the companies that are co-located in that park. Unfortunately, we're caught in what is an Irish planning loop and working our way through that. And that is something which is generating an awful lot of angst at the moment, but we are determined to push through and get there. Gurb Míle Maidí, and delighted to take part in this event and look forward to fielding questions later on.
Thanks so much, Mark. We're looking forward to asking definitely some questions on that later. And next up, we have Majbritt.
Thank you, Finn, and good morning, everyone. Greetings from a rather sunny Connemara. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the role that I have as Blue Bioeconomy Programme Manager, two aspects in particular, the Blue Bio Co-Fund and national support. Next slide, please. Thanks, Maura. Now, the Blue Bio Co-Fund is a coordinated research and development funding scheme, specifically focusing on Blue Bioeconomy sector. All of the partners are European funding bodies, and we get together each year and put out a call on a variety of Blue Bioeconomy topics. So far, we've had 3 calls since 2019. We funded a total of 29 projects. Of those projects, there is 1 Irish coordinator based in Nuálaíochta, Galway, and 6 of the other projects have a total of 11 different Irish partners between them. The projects are very, very varied. They include seaweed, mussels, projects on novel biomaterials from the marine, the microbiome, and even low trophic level species. And Colin is going to talk to you a little bit about the Ionad project, which we funded. And you can find more information, sorry, back a slide a bit. You can find more information on all of the different projects that we've funded and news and events on bluebioeconomy.eu. Next slide, please. The national support aspect, it's a bit more complex, and Mark has touched on some of the value chains within the Blue Bioeconomy. Ideally, there'd be a one-stop shop that we could all just go to and find information on the Blue Bioeconomy. Well, in fact, there's a lot of actors in this space in Ireland. So it's quite a diverse sector, and there is a lot of expertise. If I haven't included your logo, mea culpa, it was not intentional. I've tried to get a flavour of the types of groups and organisations that do offer support in this area. So we've got the likes of funders, and there's a Marine Research Funders Forum in Ireland. We're a part of it in the Marine Institute, Bordishkiwara, the likes of Teagasc, Údarás, Enterprise Ireland, to name but a few, including government departments. Haven't included them all here. But you've also got industry support, like from Enterprise Ireland in terms of their supports. There's a Marine Incubation Manager, Liam Fitzgerald, who's based down in Marai Centre down in University College, Cork. You've got regional supports in terms of the clusters, Carl Bonner up in the Killybegs Marine Cluster and Katrina Power down in the Circular Bioeconomy Cluster Southwest. And then Cliodhna and Liam are both going to talk about the supports that both the Marine Innovation Development Centre and MIN, or Marine Ireland Industry Network, can offer. And you've got a plethora of different platforms. Sorry, Maura, go back a bit. You've got a plethora of different platforms, from producers' organisations to technology platforms, the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation, which all feed into this network of national support. And finally, you've got research performers like ourselves in the Marine Institute. We're unique in that we offer research funding, but we also do the research. And there's a variety of different centres and universities and institutes of technology that all feed into this and work very closely with industry to do applied research to help progress this. And if I have a few seconds more, just briefly, because this is a huge area, and it's all about open and honest dialogue between this sector and offering the best support that we can. There's also European funding, and the new European funding framework, which a lot of people here today will know about, was launched this year. It's called Horizon Europe. And there's a lot of really good information on an Enterprise Ireland hosted site called horizoneurope.ie. And you can also get information from national contact points with expertise in, for example, the Marine. My colleague Fiona Grant, based in the Marine Institute, is the national contact point for Marine. But you can also get information on climate and energy and the likes. And I'll leave it there and look forward to the questions later. Thank you, Finn.
Thanks so much, Majbritt. Next up, we have Cliodhna Ní Ghríofa.
Hello, Céad míle fáilte chalaghana is me Cliodhna Ní Ghríofa. I assume you can hear me okay there. So I'm going to talk to you about what innovation is in the blue bioeconomy. So I'm recently, I know we can leave it on this slide for a while, recently appointed as Business Development Manager for the Marine Innovation Development Centre at Páirc, which I'll touch on later. But first and foremost, what is innovation and what does it look like in the blue bioeconomy? So innovation can be described as a new product, service, or device, or the implementation of new practices. However, in the blue bioeconomy, innovation relies on using renewable aquatic resources to deliver a wide variety of products or services. That can range from novel foods, food ingredients, feed, to pharmaceutical, green chemicals or enzymes. So it's a very, very wide area. And considering the blue bioeconomy is a relatively new sector, some people still call it emerging, there are many businesses innovating within this sector already. Mark mentioned just a few, but companies are ensuring sustainable development and utilising the blue resources. One in particular that I have come across is Solo Blue. They're based in the UK and they have designed a material composed of seaweed, which is quite innovative, and that product can be compostable, biodegradable, and has proven to increase shelf life of food. So that's just one key example of the innovation that is very vast within this sector. And it also showcases that businesses operating in this sector have a direct impact on key issues such as food waste and I suppose the overutilization of plastics that we see in our oceans. So the blue bioeconomy presents many opportunities for innovation and development. I believe innovation stems from sustainable development goals, and my role in the MIDC is to support and foster innovation within early stage companies and startups. So we can go to the next slide finally. What is the MIDC, I hear you say? So the MIDC Páirc is a designated activity company, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Údarás na Gaeltachta and is co-funded by Enterprise Ireland under the REDF scheme. So Mark mentioned Páirc and the Páirc initiative, which is obviously a business park located in the west of Galway. And the Marine Innovation Development Centre is a facility which will be located on the park. However, our physical infrastructure at the moment is still tied up with the planning process. We are physically not located there at the moment, so we are kickstarting this initiative now with the resources and the networks available to us at the moment. So the next slide, please. Yeah, so MIDC aims to bridge the gap between research, innovation and industry through commercialisation. So the Marine Innovation Development Centre is essentially an incubation hub for marine focused startups or early stage companies. And the MIDC offers support through training and development, advice, networking, and it also offers facilities through GMIT and NUIG, and of course the Údarás incubation spaces and the GTech network. And finally, the most important element we offer is the link to funding. So the link with Údarás and BIM for their funding mechanisms, also the link with accelerator programs such as Hatch, and of course the soft supports surrounding investors and ensuring businesses are investor friendly from an early stage. So in summary, the MIDC is an incubation hub for marine related startups, and if there are any potential entrepreneurs or people with business ideas related to the marine, get in touch with me and we can have a chat and start you along your journey.
Thank you so much, Rina. So next up we have Liam Curran, and he's going to chat to us about the Marine Ireland Industry Network.
That's great. Thanks, Finn, and good morning to everybody. Yeah, I'm Liam Curran from Enterprise Ireland. I'm a senior technologist with Enterprise Ireland, work in the marine space and in a couple of allied areas, if you like. Just going to mention very briefly this morning our Marine Ireland Industry Network, and this is a network we established with a number of agency partners, including Marine Institute, Údarás, SEAI, IDA, a number of other agencies involved in the sector a few years back, and it's been growing steadily. We've established a website now, and we have a back office piece supplied by Blue Eyes Marine, who are funded by the Marine Institute. So you can go to our website. It's marine-ireland.ie, and or simply Google Marine Industry Ireland. It'll take you straight to the website. It's a network of companies and other stakeholders who are in the broad marine space in Ireland. It's an umbrella organisation, really, rather than one specifically focused on any particular area of marine. And part of the reason for establishing it was that, as you heard from Mark and others this morning, marine by its nature is geographically dispersed across Ireland. So people are working away in Killybegs, they're working in Rossaveel, they're working down in Feenit, and lots of small coastal communities all the way around the coast, doing various innovative and clever things, and employing people and providing employment to coastal communities that are unlikely to see foreign direct investment in some cases. And what we wanted to do was coordinate that and bring it together so that people could see what other companies were doing, what other people in the sector were doing. We have a couple of hundred contacts in there now. We get traffic to the site from the UK and indeed from all over Ireland. We have a directory there. So if you're a company in the marine space, we'd strongly encourage you to join the directory. There's no cost to join. We also have a news section in there, which keeps you up to date on what's happening. So we see things like, lots of announcements, particularly around offshore wind at the moment, an area of particular interest to ourselves. There's an events section in there. There's a funding section. We have a case study up there at the moment from Cathix Ocean, who have a very clever, innovative capability around subsea pipeline inspection. So it's a great facility to see what's happening in the marine space in Ireland, marine industrial space. And then out of that broad umbrella organization, we're beginning to see clusters with specific capability emerging. And you've heard already from others about the marine bioeconomy one. And we also have a group in Killybegs that we're mentioning. Carol Bonner there is the cluster manager up there, so that's a geographically based cluster. Lots of marine engineering and marine capability in Killybegs, people will know. We also, the third cluster that we're spinning out of that is one which we manage ourselves in Enterprise Ireland, which is specifically focused on offshore wind. We see that as a major opportunity for the marine sector in Ireland. So yeah, that's it from me, Finn. That's Marine Ireland. We'd encourage people to visit the site and have a look and get an understanding of what we're doing there. And
Great.
Finn, back to you.
Perfect, great, Liam. Thanks so much. So next we'll chat to Maeve about high value targeted seaweed projects.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well and not as snuffly as me this morning. I hope that doesn't come across too badly. Just a couple of slides on a project that partners and I are working on called Biodulse. But first, a little introduction to myself. My name is Maeve Edwards. I am one of the co-founders of Irish Seaweed Consultancy, who I've been working in seaweed for about 20 years. It shocked me to realize only last night. So we've been working on seaweed quite some time. And this project is a good example of how something that seems like sort of a new idea now actually has quite a lot of sort of history and background. It seems that the blue bioeconomy doesn't just happen overnight. I suppose it's a new term, but it certainly encompasses things that have been happening for some time. So I'd like to mention the partners, as I have their logos here on the screen. So the Biodulse project lead partner is Pure Ocean Algae, or Alihi Seafood. We have a great working partnership with the University of Limerick, the Professor Fitzgerald's protein lab. We also are joined by Carberry Group, who are a global food products company based in Cork. And the project is funded or supported through the DTIF fund run by Enterprise Ireland. Next slide, please. So this is really my main slide. I have some pretty pictures afterwards, but we're already referring to biorefineries. It's a pathway, it's a process for us, and something that has come up again and again through my working life so far with seaweed is that people have a great idea to use it, but they say, but what do we use it for? You know, what is the holy grail at the end? And this can be quite a difficult one to answer, because everybody has lots of good ideas, but you have to make it as high value as possible. And so really biodels is quite a simple sort of idea. It's complicated to run, I suppose, but we realized that we would have our strength in simplicity, I suppose. And so we have come up with an idea, a single product idea, which will feed out co-products to the side. But the single product idea is a type 2 diabetes management product. And once you know where you want to come from, you can work back to where you need to start from. So in my mind, this diagram actually reads from right to left as opposed to left to right. But if you want to start in 2019, the project has started looking and collecting dulse, or Palmaria palmata, the red edible seaweed. And we have based our work on cultivation techniques that have been around for some time now, and we're working with tetraspores, seeding them onto string substrates which go out to sea for cultivation. And because we are working with a protein compound for this type 2 diabetes management product, we are trying to enhance the protein content in the Palmaria, which will vary over the seasons and will vary from geographical locations. So there's a lot to understand there. And so we're trying to use our cultivation techniques, a combination between sea cultivation and lab cultivation, to not only grow the biomass that is required so that we're taking the pressure off wild resources, but also to enhance that biomass by increasing the protein. So that work is being done between Pure Ocean Algae, ourselves, and University of Limerick. And after that, once we have cracked that particular nut, the biomass will be increased, and there'll be a mass extraction of the proteins required, and they will be fed into clinical trials, both mouse models and human trials, to understand the efficacy of this product. The mass extraction will be, this will also be involved with UL and Carberry, and Carberry will also try and understand, of course, this is their thing to understand the markets for this, where they are, how much will be required. And really, we have 3 years in order to do this, to get a product or products just to a pre-launch, to be ready for market, but not quite there as the Enterprise Ireland rules require. But so it is a whole process and complex, but one that is very targeted, and hopefully that will lead to its success. Next slide, please. And just in case anybody was just preferred photographs over diagrams, so here are some of the key processes of the culture, which really is the start of everything. If we can't get this right, the rest is much more difficult. So we work, as you can see in the second image there, we work with the tetrasporophytes producing the spores, which then settle onto string. As you can see, the little furry strings, the little seedlings growing there, which within about 5 months tops, you get a beautiful crop of Palmaria. So things are going well, and I'm happy to take questions later.
Perfect, thank you so much, Maeve. And finally, we have Colin, and he's going to talk to us about community project opportunities in this area.
Good morning, everyone. Many thanks for the opportunity to chat to you about currently what we're doing at the moment. So my own background is I've been working in aquaculture since about 2002, and I've been fully involved in every aspect of it, from the production right through to the valorization and the development of products at the very end. So I'm going to talk to you about the Ionad project, which is funded by Blue Bio, which is really funded by the Marine Institute and Science Foundation Ireland. And Ionad project came about by problems that were being faced by people in different geographical locations around Europe. So basically the Kilgearon, Birchbuy, We also had a sea urchin producer and harvester in Spain. We had issues in Germany and issues in Norway. So basically, we identified there was an issue with some production and some issues with echinoderms. So echinoderms are sea stars, they're sea urchins and sea cucumbers. So we can skip to the next slide. So the first problem was a harvester in Spain. So they're an industry partner and they were harvesting sea urchins, which were very low quality. So what we did is we looked at technology that we would have developed in the past, and we implemented new diet regimes and different feeding processes to actually enhance the sea urchins to a marketable product. So something that they could actually use at the end of the day, process. And this company processed sea urchins on the scale of 300 tons per year. So it's not small business, but this company hires and employs the guts of 40 to 50 individual contractors around the Galician coast, around Curran. So it is a large scale project in one sense. And we've spent probably the last 10 years working on different production methods for sea urchins and in the enhancement of them. And the sea urchins we're looking at here are the European species, Parsontrose lividus. So that's the species we have here as well. We can then go to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah, I'll just continue to talk. So the next slide, anyways, is it's our sea cucumber work. So one of the other issues is that we were trying to resolve was the fact that there has no real value chain for sea cucumbers within, I suppose, Europe in one sense. It's not part of anybody's diets. It's not part of any kind of community harvesting. But what we're trying to do is to use sea cucumbers as a means of bioremediation of impacted sediments from aquaculture or industry. So basically what we're trying to do is trying to see, is it a case that if we seed out sea cucumbers under, for instance, mussel farms or open sea pens, so for instance, sea bass and salmon, so that they're the two farms that we'd see them out under. So we have them seeded out under the Marine Institute's research site, and we also have them seeded out under a sea bass farm in Sardinia, which is lovely. So what we're trying to do is to basically ascertain, is it a case, will they reduce the overall total organic loading? And basically how a sea cucumber works, it works relatively the same as a earthworm. It turns over the seabed. So what it actually does is recycles the nutrients, removes the organic materials, and then deposits the sediment afterwards. So basically, effectively, it's a great tool or a great opportunity to use them for bioremediation. And that's what we're trying to do as part of this project. Along with that as well, we're trying to develop a product. So is it a case that the efficacies for using them for a product at the end of the day? So we'll test that as well. So we're on to the last slide now, which are sea stars. So the Ionad project, actually, what happened was the manager of the cooperative in Curran at the time came to me with a problem. And the problem is clearly seen in the video, that every tow that they made, the majority of the tow was made up of sea stars. So there's something changed in the ecology in Beidh in the bay, and they had a bloom of sea stars. So they asked, can we do something with this? And I suppose this is what GMIT does. It takes an applied approach to this. So with our international partners around Europe, the Alfred Wenger Institute and NOFEMA, we then started to develop a diet. So we harvest the sea stars, we process them, dry them, process them, and mill them down into a usable form to valorize the protein compound out of it and basically create a aqua feed for salmon, for sea bass, and for white-leg shrimp. So that's currently what we're looking at. That's currently been validated now in Germany, and we'll be doing some of the work ourselves. So what I'm trying to get across with regards to, I suppose, community projects and how this is, what we typically do is when somebody comes to us with a problem, we try to find a solution. And if we can't find a solution through technology transfer, we'll try to find a solution through a European fund. So that's how Innoval started. Was basically, there was a problem, we found a solution, and we used the Blue Bio Co-Fund to basically integrate industry, research, state agencies, and other stakeholders to basically resolve and overcome technical challenges that have been faced by both industry and, I suppose, community groups. And I suppose we're very lucky in one sense as well, the fact that we're actually working with 88 members of the co-op in Kilkieran and Birchbui to actually resolve the issues that they're having in regards to this, and also integrate them into the EU project, I suppose, forum in one sense, because we have them integrated into a couple of projects of this. So that's me. That's the Innoval project. So I'm happy to take any questions in a while.